Nervous system. So we'll start with functions of the nervous system. The nervous system, again, is a master controlling communication system of the body. Its cells communicate using electrical signals and chemical signals. It is very rapid, very specific. It's going to have an immediate response or nearly immediate response. It consists of three overlapping functions: input, sensory input, which would be the information gathered by sensory receptors about the external and internal changes in the environment. Integration would be the way we process and interpret all of that sensory information. And motor output is the activation of a specific effector organ, and this is one of the differences between the nervous system and the endocrine system, is that we're going to activate a specific effector organ in the case of the nervous system, and those are generally muscles or glands that produce a response. So again, sensory input. What does that input mean? Integration. And motor output. What do we do about it? Motor output is oftentimes motor, movement of something, if we're talking about skeletal muscles, but it could also be glands. So the nervous system itself is divided into two principal parts: the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. It's found within the dorsal cavity, remember from early on in anatomy. It's where we do that integration, where we interpret what's going on. It's also the control center, where we decide what we're going to do in response to those changes that we detect. The peripheral nervous system would be all of the nervous system outside the central nervous system, mainly spinal nerves and cranial nerves that are going to continue to branch and go to individual effector organs or sensory organs. But those are bringing in the information to the central nervous system or sending information out from the central nervous system. The peripheral nervous system has two functional divisions. Sensory, the afferent division. We've got somatic sensory fibers that convey impulses from the skin, skeletal muscles, and joints to the central nervous system. We've got visceral sensory fibers that can convey impulses from our internal organs, our visceral organs, to the central nervous system. So the sensory, this is bringing information into the central nervous system. And the motor or efferent division is going to take impulses from the central nervous system to the effector organs. Those effector organs are muscles and glands. And the motor division has got two more parts, or is divided into two divisions itself: those that we have conscious control over and those that need to happen automatically. So we have a somatic nervous system going to skeletal muscles, and we have an autonomic nervous system that goes to primarily glands, but also to some organs themselves. And those things have to be not only turned up sometimes, they also need to be turned down sometimes. So when we look at the autonomic nervous system, we'll find that it has two divisions within it. But the somatic motor nerve system conduct impulses to skeletal muscles. We've already looked at these when we looked at the muscular system. They are our voluntary nervous system. They give us conscious control of skeletal muscles. Whereas the autonomic nervous system consists of the visceral motor fibers. They're regulating things like smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands. This is the involuntary nervous system. Again, is divided into two functional subdivisions: the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. These two divisions, one turns up organs and one turns them down. One of them is very important for when we are responding to a fight or flight situation. The other when we are in a rest and relax mode. So we have to be able to turn it up and down. With skeletal muscles, we either need to contract or not contract. So we don't need two different sides to that coin. So again, organizationally, we've got a nervous system composed of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. That peripheral nervous system has got a sensory division carrying information to the central nervous system, and a motor division carrying instructions away from the central nervous system. Those instructions can either be to skeletal muscles, in which case they would fall under the category of the somatic nervous system, or they may be to our visceral organs, in which case they would be under the autonomic nervous system, the things that we control automatically. And that requires things to be turned up and turned down. So our sympathetic division tends to turn up things, it mobilizes body systems during activity, whereas our parasympathetic division kind of slows things down, helps us conserve energy and take care of housekeeping functions. I'll stop there for this first section.